Yo, what's up guys, my name is Silverman, welcome back to the channel. Been a while since the last video. Today I will remake Nicky Romero's and Sick Individuals' brand new collab called Hold On in FL Studio. Let's get right into it. So first of all, let's have a listen to the original drop real quick. Yeah, super catchy tune in my opinion, and the second I heard this one on Friday when it was released on YouTube, I could definitely tell they're using some Nexus leads in the drop. So I was like, you know what? Let's do a remake today. Okay, so first thing I'll do is I'll remake the melody, and I'll open up Nexus. The main lead they're using here is the Nexus Magnetron lead, this one. All right, let me try to get the melody in. Okay, here we go. So this one acts as the main layer, and then next up I will layer a second super saw lead. I think I'll put this one an octave higher as well. Yeah, something like this, but I'm not exactly happy with this one, so let me try a different one. Yeah, this one's already sounding much better. I will put some stereo widening on the second one because it's a little bit too mono-ish for being this supportive super saw. And then I will also layer a piano to the super saws because I think that's what I did in the original song as well. Or maybe this one here. I think I'm just gonna stick to the arena ambience. So what I'll do now is I'll send them to the mixer. Channel 4 will be our lead bus channel, and I'm sending all of those into the lead bus. As I said before, now I'm gonna make the second layer a bit wider. Maybe give it a 20-25% boost here. Always double check with span, the correlation meter down here. This one's now sitting around the 0 mark. Maybe a little bit further than that. It's okay. You don't want to go much into the negative area because then the stereo delay between the left and right signal is too strong. And then what happens when you listen on the mono signal, you start to lose too much information. So try not to go too much into the negative area here. So that's looking all right. And then on the piano, as you can see, pianos are usually very mid-focused, right? Because they're not as digital, and the digital sound usually provides more highs. So what I'll usually like to do with the lead piano is bring down these mids a bit, because else you get a very resonating mid-heavy sound. So I'll bring that down a little here. And then, as I said before, since it doesn't have a whole lot of highs, we could boost the top end a bit. Yeah, that's already sounding much cleaner. Maybe throw a little bit of OTT on the piano. Don't go overboard. That's sounding really nice and clear, bright. Before, a bit muddy. Now it's just sounding a bit tighter and brighter. And then on the first one, let's maybe do a little bit of EQ here, because it's also quite mid-focused. So I'll bring down the 700 Hz just a little bit. Boost the top end just a tiny bit. that's okay. So now let's continue with the lead bus processing. Also today, as I said in my previous video, I like to keep my videos more uncut from now on because I really want to show you every single step. Because I feel like if I cut out all the processing effects and stuff, you don't really learn a whole lot, right? So I'd rather keep the videos a bit longer and show you all of the mixing steps as well. So leave a like if you appreciate that. Okay, comment. So here I'll have the low cut at 200 Hertz and I'll give the very highest just a slight roll off here. And that's pretty much all we need. I mean, we already have reverb from the plugins themselves. Just gonna bring that down a little bit more. I think I'll actually reduce the highs again because in the original track, the highs are a bit softer in my opinion. Okay, I think I'll leave the leads like that for now at least. Just gonna throw some sidechain on here. Obviously, the only sidechain plugin we are allowed to use on this is Nicky Romero's sidechain plugin. Let's go with something like that. Okay. Alright guys, next up I'll do the chords. First of all, I'm grabbing the lead melody just to get the rhythm in for the chords. When I do the chords, start with the bass notes first and then you can build the harmonies based off of the bass notes. And so the first bass note is a G, I believe. So I'll bring those up to G. Okay, I just brought them now all to G. So it's easier to change the notes now with while keeping the rhythm the same. And then during the next two bars, I think they go down to E, I believe. And then they go up to B. And then they have a little bit of variation here. And then F sharp, I believe. Okay, so now let's pick a cool synth. Whatever. You know what? I'll just start with the piano to layer the chords. So right now I'm listening to the higher harmonies because I feel like it goes like dun 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 dun. So these might not be exactly the same in the original track, but as long as the harmonies are kind of right, I guess it's okay. I'll just use this piano as a background layer, make it a bit quieter here. And the chord synth in the original track seems quite plucky, not super sustained, more plucky. Let's see what we can do with this one. Play around with the sustain and decay. So we got the piano and the chord synth, throw them into channel 5 and 6, and then the chord bus into channel 7. I'll start with some bus processing also here first, the low and high cut. So a lot of people ask me, where do you put the low cut when you EQ your chords? Usually you don't want to cut into the root note. So for example, if you look here, you can see the root note here is roughly 200. Now it went down to 160. Now it's down at 120. Now it's going back high. So like the lowest root note is 120. So I'm not gonna cut higher than 120 here because I don't want to take out the body of the chords. If your chords go much lower than this, then either they're going too low, or okay, if you think okay, no, they're not, like it's just the key that's relatively low, maybe just cut a little or roll them off, right? Or use a bell to bring those down. But right here, 120 is okay. And then we can still, if you feel like there's too much information in the low mids, we can still, what I like to do is, you know, reduce those at like 300-400 hertz, because that's kind of an area that usually tends to sound a bit muddy, boxy, woody, or however you want to call it. It just doesn't have a nice sound, so usually I bring that down a bit. But also be careful, because if you bring it down too much, you will remove all of the warmth of your song, and it's just gonna sound thin. So be careful. So then on the piano, I'll just put some OTT. And on the synth chord, maybe just a little bit more width. So now we got the chords and the leads, and for now I'll just increase the lead bass a bit. Already sounding super cool in my opinion. Then next up, let's do the bass line, and the bass line seems to be sustained. I think I'll go with some Spire sub bass. All right, let's see. Could we do maybe the sub bass preset? On here, the process is gonna be real simple. I'm simply gonna get rid of the highs. Like that's all we need, and obviously the side chain. I'm just gonna throw gross beat on here. A curve like that is okay. And then for the mid bass, I feel like they kept their mid bass relatively soft. So maybe what I'll try is just adding a super saw mid bass, and then I'm gonna call it a day for the bass. Maybe this one, get rid of the, I don't know, maybe just something like that, doesn't even matter. Also playing the higher octave, I'm aware of that. Alright, so now we got the leads, chords, and bass, and that's pretty much all the main elements. So now let's look for some good drums. This is the kick I'm gonna use. Look at the name, this is the R-Time kick. Okay, so what I did is I actually, a couple of days ago, I sampled this from R-Time. And my opinion, what they did for the R-Time kick, it's actually the Madison Sadko kick, just with a little bit of different processing, or maybe with a different bass kick. But anyway, like this is the R-Time kick. Sounds like that. So now I'll drag in, you know, the rest of the drums. Some downlifters like those. We need a lot of like crash sounds, downlifters, all that type of stuff. Alright guys, so I've just thrown in all of the drum and effect sounds in here. So just real quick again, we got the R-Time kick, and then we have a bunch of downlifter crash sounds here. Then we have some shakers and a ride, a crash, some claps, and some fill sounds down here. And now that stuff still needs to be mixed, so let's do that together. Or send everything to the mixer. And how I always mix those is I simply mix those to the kick, and I always double check this with span. This one's too loud. Crash. The exhausts. Yeah, that's way too loud. And also here I will get rid of the lower mids. Then we got a ride. Double check on span as well. I always kind of aim for the -36 mark with the high end here. So maybe -1, 1.5 or so. Then we have a crash here. It's also way too loud. Could also throw some delay on here. Something like that. Then we have a clap on every second kick. And do a little bit of EQing. Maybe a little bit of reverb. And then there is a clap in the second half of the drop, playing on every kick. And then we also have this shaker in the second half of the drop. And then the fills, let's mix those in as well. Yeah, that sounds alright. Doesn't have to be perfect. Actually, what I've just noticed, I forgot to put sidechain on the chords. Maybe something like that. And then I think I also put a little bit of OTT on the chord bus. And then on the leads, it's a bit too much sidechain. Okay guys, before we wrap up this remake, I'll just add 1, 2, 3 more ambient sounds in the background. Something like this here. Yeah, I think those two are cool. Just gonna send this one to the other one, and then I'll just throw a sidechain plugin on here. Alright guys, before we check out the result, if you want to have this FLP, check out the first link in the description. I have a ton of remakes on my Gumroad store, a lot of Martin Garrix, a lot of super high quality progressive house remakes. So if you want to have one of the other remakes, just check out the first link in the description to my Gumroad store, and let's have a listen to the result.